also one of the producers from Toronto. Many of you might know him, Todd Brown! And our fabulous translator, let's hear it for Rudy! Okay, so first off, how did a guy from Cardiff, right?
Cardiff, yeah.
How did a guy from Cardiff end up in Indonesia making martial arts films?
Long story. My wife's Indonesian, Japanese, and her family are from Jakarta. And so basically, she got me working on a documentary out in Indonesia. And that was all about Pencaksilat and about the Indonesian culture. And luckily, through that, I learned about Merantau, the culture there, and also met this boy.
So I wanted to ask, how did you, was Merantau your first feature film? Were you acting before?
Apakah Merantau film pertama Anda atau sebelumnya sudah pernah main film?
Iya, saya main film pertama kali untuk Merantau dan ini yang keduanya.
Yes, Merantau is the first one and this one is the second one.
So what was it? Do you find like it must be a challenge to be able to do all those incredible moves and still acting, still keep a straight face? Can you talk about what do you find the most challenging thing about fighting on screen?
Pasti sangat menantang.
Di sini saya dibantu oleh pastinya saya panggil dia Bapak Bule.
I call him a bule, Indonesian term for
white boy.
Man.
Thank you.
Ya dia banyak bantu untuk saya untuk.
So Gareth helped me a lot with all those things.
Dan untuk adegan fight dan adegan drama.
Itu for the fight, actions and also for the drama.
Walaupun saya ada sedikit nervous untuk melakukan adegan fighting ataupun drama, dia yang bisa menenangkan saya.
I was actually quite nervous to do all those actions and drama and actions, but he always comes in and make me calm down.
Just want to take a second to point out that as well as acting and doing all the stunt work in the fight film, Iko and Yayan Ruhian, who played Mad Dog, are also the fight choreographers.
Wow. What's your background?
My background?
Yeah. I mean, is it kind of a fighting combat, or are you an actor? Like, how did you find yourself on screen beating up people?
I'm in a judo national team in Indonesia, but since 1987 to 2009, and after that, I watched Merantau, Gareth Huw Evans' first movie. I'm just like saying to myself, if I want to do a movie, that's the movie I want to make. So I searched and everything to find Gareth. I just want to be part of the project, something like that.
Found me on Facebook.
You can find these guys on Twitter as well. Check the Madness Tiff account, and we've been retweeting them. The fascinating thing about the film is when I get films, often they're in very rough versions. And the version that I saw, which was I think in early June, there was like a temp soundtrack, like you'd see people getting thrown onto mattresses. But it really comes to life with that sound mix. Can you talk just about the process in the post-production?
Yeah, the guys that did the music for Merantau, when we were preparing to do the second film was supposed to be Merantau first of all, and we prepared like a little sort of teaser trailer for that, and we wanted somebody to do a sound mix on the teaser trailer, and they came in and did that for us. And it was something interesting because they are kind of fresh out of university as well, and I kind of got more interested in the creativity that they did with the sound mix, because Merantau worked very well, but we wanted to kind of explore more with the 5.1 and everything else. So I contacted them and said, okay, I want you to do the music for this film, but I also want you to do the sound mix and the sound design. So then they kind of went off and just watched a bunch of movies and just came back with a shit ton of ideas. And so that was it was a really great process for us because we didn't have to sort of sit with them and sort of guide them too much. So yeah.
Do we have any questions here from the audience? Yes.
Yeah, I was just wondering if anyone actually got seriously injured during any of the fights.
So the question was were there any serious injuries during the shooting of the film?
I sprained my ankle once getting out of my chair. It was pretty traumatic, but I fought through it and made them do another take. Injuries-wise, we had a few sort of minor injuries. A lot of them are kind of small injuries, but they kind of highlight how dangerous what we were doing is. Like, they're kind of like eye-openers in a way. One of the smallest ones we didn't expect to be an injury was, you know, the guy when he goes using the stick and the knife, and he hits the guy with the stick, pulls him in and stabs him in the throat. That one should have been pretty straightforward. We had the camera from the side, so we had plenty of room so we could kind of block it, right? So that the knife would just go past his shoulder. So he gets pulled in, and then the knife goes past, and it works in camera. But when the guy got pulled down, instead of his head coming straight down, it went down into the side. And the knife was soft wood, but still pierced his cheekbone. So if he was 1 inch higher, he'd have been blind. So that kind of moment freaks everyone out on set. That's when you kind of like, okay, let's take a breath and prepare to do another shot. We had a few like that. We patched him and he was fine afterwards. Yeah.
They're also really, what I admire about the film is you take your time with the shots and you don't overcut. Because I mean, that's the biggest problem with martial arts films, usually in action films, predominantly in North America, but you pull back and let we can see you guys move and do the full things.
Yeah, I mean, like that comes from the fact that they're working for like 2 or 3 months designing all the fighting. So if they're going to spend that long designing it, then practicing for another 3 months, I don't want to kind of hide it just by going really close to the camera. We knew that this film had to play a lot more claustrophobic than Miranda because we were in tight spaces and small rooms, but we kind of did our best to find the balance between having that handheld aesthetic, but at the same time pulling back wide enough so we can see all the choreography and we can see how it flows from one shot to the next. But a big help for me was on Miranda we did like a lot of really long takes and really wide shots. And they worked a lot of the time, but sometimes after you do so many takes, like 20 to 30 takes for one shot, everyone kind of slows down, everyone loses their energy. And Mike Lida, I spoke with him and he was full of really constructive criticism. He said, okay, keep those shots in, but use them sparingly. So then you can kind of maintain a sort of energy in the fighters, basically.
Mike Lida is one of the grand masters of fandom when it comes to martial arts cinema. He's a Brit who lives in Hong Kong and he knows everything about
and everyone.
Everything and everyone in martial arts films. It's amazing. Great talent to have. Yes?
What language do you write your scripts in?
Okay. The original script I write in English, then that gets sent off to be translated into Indonesian. Then what happens is we do read-throughs, and I realize that everyone's kind of reading it in the wrong way. And then we go back and then we change all those things which are very specific to sort of sometimes Welsh phrases, which no one in Indonesia's ever been heard before. For some reason I think they can figure it out. And then we kind of go back and like rewrite and redraft. And I think like Joe for the opening speech kind of took the English and then rewrote his speech then in Indonesian himself to make it more comfortable with his speech pattern. So we do like those things. That we kind of let the actors find wherever's comfortable for them.
Yes?
I was just wondering, in the last scene with Mad Dog, the big fight scene, how many takes did that take?
How many did it take? How long did it take to shoot the final fight?
The final fight we had about, I mean it's 6 minutes of fighting and then 2 or 3 minutes lead in and lead out. And that was about 8 I think we had for that one. Which is really tight for that kind of scene. And basically, you know, just let's go again. Let's keep going. We went through, like, in terms of takes, we went through a lot more slates on this shoot than we did on Miranda. On Miranda we shot for 4 months, this one was 2 months. And we did about 2,500 slates more on this than we did on Miranda. We were all freaking out because we reached 10,000 slates. We had about 8,600 something slates.
Do we have anyone else in the back there? Anyone missing? Yes? Yep, shout it out.
Just wanted to say thank you very much. Splendid girl. Brilliant.
Thank you.
For a girl, all ass roses. All ass roses. You kicked ass, dude.
Oh. Well done. Thank you.
When you first saw him on stage, you had no idea that he was that deadly.
Don't get him mad, I tell you.
Up top? Up top?
Up top, yes, okay, yes.
Was the Aristotelian unity of time, place, and action affected
Kick him in the face!
Wants a kick in the face. Basically, that's what happened. And I'm just saying that because I love you, James. All right. We want everyone else here. Yes.
How important was it to showcase Salah, considering, I mean, I think about this in the other film West Ham. You don't see it in almost any, it's always, Kung Fu or Muay Thai or something, but it's something you don't see. How important was it for the fight part to be sort of realistic and flashy, but also showcase the style of the art?
The question is, how important was it to showcase Silat, which is the Indonesian martial arts style, with all the cuts and the...
Kita di sini untuk menunjukkan beberapa style dari silat yang itu tidak membawa tradisi, lebih universal.
The Silat, the traditional Indonesian traditional martial arts, showcases a lot of unique tricks, unique techniques, which we don't have in other martial arts.
Di sini kita ada beberapa, semua bela diri punya pukulan, sikutan, tendangan atau kenal lutut, itu punya basic dan tetap kita kembangkan dengan silat.
In Silat we have a combination of movements, combination of techniques, and then we combine them all, and then we incorporate them all in this Indonesian traditional martial arts, Silat.
Dan kita tunjukkan di sini untuk fight scene-nya, untuk tidak ada trik-trik kamera ataupun tetap full body contact.
Yeah, we want to show the audience that there is no trick. It's a full body contact movement, and what you can see is it's real Silat actions, movements. Yeah.
Just to kind of go a little more specific with some of the things we did, we wanted to find ways as well to use like specific Silat movements, but while they're using weapons as well. So that's why for the nightstick, he kind of hits with it and then pulls in and drags the victim. It's very similar to the style of like Harimau Silat we used in Miranda, where you hit with an open palm, but then you can claw to pull back. And so we kind of adapted that and added that to the choreography, but while using the stick and the knife.
And I want to say, it's more than just rare. Silat on screen. I got involved with Gareth when he was working on Marantau, but like halfway through the shoot, I think.
Yeah.
And worked with him on prepping the international release and kind of getting it out. And it's hard to say 100% for sure, but when we started talking about it, we started doing some research. As near as we can tell, this movie and Marantau are the only Silat movies. We haven't been able to find any other ones. Even back in the 80s when Barry Primo was in his prime and Indonesia was exporting martial arts films, because they were geared for export, Barry did all Kung Fu. I'm dropping the giveaways.
And I have to, that hallway fight scene, I think you kind of topped Old Boy. How long did that take to do?
That was 2 days, 3 days. The corridor Karimo, 2 days, 3 days, yeah. 3 days. Yeah, on the second day, but 2.5 technically, because on the second day, he, just before the shoot, he twisted his knee. And that was about a month before we were supposed to start shooting. And then he got chicken pox. And then he hit puberty, and then 2 weeks before we started shooting, his knee starts to get better. Second day of shooting that fight scene, that was the first fight scene we did. Second day of that, he's just about to hit the guy with a stick, one little misstep, and then his knee pops. And everyone on the crew is, fuck, what do we do now, So we got as many little sort of quick cut close-up stuff of him standing up, so he didn't have to put too much pressure on his leg. Shot those for half a day, and then we came back for one more day then to pick up everything. That was a crazy shit.
And actually, to go back to the question about injuries, I was there for the pickup day. I was on set for 5 days, 6 days.
Yeah.
In March. And the guy gets his head bashed into the wall again and again and again and again. They had to shoot that from multiple angles because it starts on one side and then it turns around. So I was in the hallway and I watched the first angle, and And I'm like, yeah, they're resetting, it's gonna be the same thing just from the other side. So I went back out into the lobby of the studio when they did it the other way, and as I'm sitting out there, you hear the call for action, you hear the call for cut, and then you hear somebody start shouting for a medic. And I look up, and they're walking this guy out, and he's gotten dizzy, and he's leaning on somebody, and it's just blood doused down the side of his head, and I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, they made him up in between the shots, and I didn't realize it. But maybe a little bit concussed in doing that.
He was a little bit dizzy, but he had a cup of tea, and then later on we did another take then.
What else we have? Yes?
One thing I think that's also unique about this film is I can't imagine there's been another Muslim kung fu superhero. Wondering if that element has any play in it, if you would like to expand on.
I mean, it's never really been like a sort of any kind of political intent or anything or something to kind of make everyone, hey, let's all love Muslims. It's just purely, it's part of Iko's culture, it's part of his life, and it's part of Indonesia, and so it was just one of those things where it kind of, like for that we were kind of aiming for like a balance between his preparation, mental, spiritual, and then sort of like physical as well with the